Welcome to Basically Sci-Fi, the short story podcast with stories you can basically call sci-fi. I'm Adam.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Todd.
Good morning, gentlemen. Or good afternoon for Jared.
How's it going?
It's going.
Well, it's 9 p.m., so I'd say evening, but, you know.
Still afternoon.
Still
One
afternoon,
of those
not
three.
wrong. Not entirely wrong.
Yeah.
I round up. Anyway, I've got a special thing for you guys today. I've got the end of my story. Not to put too much pressure on myself. Spoilers. Not to put too much pressure on myself, but I wanted to get that off my chest. It's been I checked the document, and I've got almost 40,000 words sunk into this
40,000?
Yeah. I know that's nothing compared to y'all, because y'all been doing this much longer.
Well, not much longer, really. But anyway, 40,000, that's... Yeah. I can't even fathom how many words that is.
I can't even count that high.
What does it even mean?
That's the longest Google document I've ever made.
It's meaningless.
You got it in one document.
Well, you don't write a book with each chapter being a different document, do you? You just scroll down for 10 minutes.
Anyway. It might be easier to break it into parts. I don't know. I haven't written a book.
Yeah. No. I mean, we kind of have.
We kind of did write a book, didn't we? If you stuck all of our shit together, that'd be enough for a book.
A short one, but, you know.
And, dear listeners, if you want to buy that book, comment on our Discord and tell us how much you want to buy that book.
Yeah, and you know what? Just send the money
so that
ahead
you can
of time.
be disappointed when you never receive anything.
Kickstarter.
That's why we use GoFundMe instead of Kickstarter, because we get the money first. Anyway, without further ado, gentlemen, I'm going to jump right into it.
Nice.
Yeah. Hope you got a whole bunch of tissues.
How did you know I had tissues at my computer?
Because this story is going to make you cry. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? What does Buck sound like? It's been like a whole month since I've been Buck.
Super confident. Give us a gentleman. Gentleman.
That's I guess that's close. So guys, there's this ancient dick. I mean, there's this ancient emperor, and he calls himself Gruten or something. So that's where I'm at right now. How are you? Oh my god, that frozen guy is getting loaded into this pink egg. Guys, sometimes I get overexcited. I hope y'all can forgive me. I've got to go do something real quick. Talk soon. The transmission fizzled into static. Arlo looked up at the planetary class light show. The gremlin split down the middle, and light poured through the crack, followed by more crack spiderwebbing out from the gash to cover the surface. The light grew brighter and then went out with a bang. Pah! This is a flourish. For Arlo, the world stood still. He held his breath, watching the messenger tab, waiting for a notification. The seconds ticked away, seconds into minutes. Minutes passed on, and the world seemed to move around him. He took short breaths through clenched teeth, staring at the space in the air where the notification would pop up with bloodshot eyes. The hubbub had died down, lights getting turned off. Arlo was alone, on a patch of grass next to the heating spire under the night sky, streaked with orange, as parts of the gremlin came down like a meteor shower. The bigger section started slowly drifting apart. He broke down in the faint orange glow of the spire.
Oh, I've seen that sad frog gif before.
I've only seen the crazy frog gif. Mac found Arlo in the morning and took him to be with the others. Of course, after the debris storms died down in the following week, they sent the Ravager out to pick through the drifting rubble, see if they could find Buck. But it was a big space station. They could only work so fast. In order to avoid getting the Ravager, their only ticket off the planet smashed like a grape. Ripper and the Hot Dog Man, and Freddy, spent their days setting up a home base down on the planet with materials salvaged from the gremlin. Kronk took to figuring out the control system for the cloud of drones that once ferried blood. It was decided that they would wake the Ruskies and take them off this frozen rock. The system had a jump buoy, but that wasn't their only ticket out of town. Remembering how the beasts had chased them to the Star Tropics without ever going through a jump buoy, the gang came to the conclusion that the beasts could be used if only they knew the way. Waking the Ruskies could yield answers, but first there was the issue of housing and food. The planet was covered in ice, a kilometer deep. The only spot of green was a huge thrumming heat spire pulling the warmth of the core of the planet up through a long series of tubes. The days passed and their supplies began running low. They had no choice but to send the Ravager up to the Twent ship. I'm realizing now how much Twent sounds like twink. Anyway. I might cut that out, sorry.
What? No, don't. I'm kind of into this twink ship you got.
Got a giant twink ship full of dead twinks. Sorry. They had no choice but to send the Ravager up to the Twent ship, sending Kronk out to the spacewalk. No, sending Kronk out to spacewalk. Buck had taken their only spacesuit on his spacewalk, and Kronk didn't need to breathe air. The ship had a tear in the midsection that must have depressurized it in seconds. Kronk floated in through the tear and found that, against all odds, the ship's reactors were still running, in low power mode. The emergency lights bathed the hallways in a dim red light, and the cold storage lockers were still functioning. So it was that Kronk rustled up some spare spacesuits, after first dumping out the skeletal occupants.
Ugh.
Going to keep that to myself, Kronk noted. Making several trips, Kronk loaded up the Ravager with supplies of all kinds. The Twent flagship was a treasure trove of materials. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months as the gang set up building after building in preparation for the thawing of the Ruskies. The hot dog man had cataloged every corridor of the stasis facility and copied down every bit of Ruskian pictography that he could. He gathered the gang before a giant mural to share his work. And if you look here, this figure is meant to represent the Emperor, and that thing looks like an ice cream scoop in his hand is probably a metaphor for the military-industrial complex. See here how it scoops out the heart of the planet, he said. I think that's what he sounded like.
Yeah.
Yeah, close enough. He changes every time.
Yeah.
So this is the planet made of ice cream? No. So this planet is made of ice cream? Freddy asked. Impossible, Ripper answered. That much ice cream would take a galaxy of cows 100 years to produce. Listen, it's not an ice cream scoop. For the last time, it's a metaphor. It could be any kind of spoon, the old hot dog man said, beginning to lose his patience. So he spooned the planet's insides out, Mac asked. Spooning, spoon, entry found, verb to... Stop! Okay, I think I got you. You're
Why
saying
is the first entry found verb?
Spooning.
Uh-huh.
Because he said spooned.
Okay.
Don't tell me you ain't never spooned some ice cream.
Uh-huh. You're right.
Stop. Okay. I think I got you. You're saying the Emperor took all the good bits of the planet and left his people on a freezing rock with no food or resources, Freddy said. Precisely, the old man said. He continued on, sharing his findings, and was followed by Kronk and Freddy's breakdown of the drone fleet and the remains of the Twent ship. No way to activate the beast that was orbiting near the star could be found, shelving that plan entirely, which was probably for the best. Instead, the gang set to repairing the Twent ship. Using the fleet of drones, they could jack Kronk into the system, and from there, the process of deconstructing the debris of the gremlin into parts to patch up the hole in the hull began. The repairs would have to hold up for a few buoy jumps at least, considering how far out in the rim the Ruskies' home planet was. Months passed into a year, and the repairs on the Twent ship were nearing completion. The gang began, corridor by corridor, to defrost the Ruskies. Their language turned out to be surprisingly grammatically simple, and could be translated word for word, the true dream of every AI-driven translation service. The gang organized the Ruskies into groups of 20 and loaded them onto the Twent ship. Since there were a lot of Ruskies, and only one Ravager they could use as a ferry, this process took a real long time. Everyone finally loaded up. Arlo bade farewell to the planet and to Buck, wherever he was out there. He got on the last transport off the planet and joined the others. They set to tracing the route back through the buoys to reach the galactic seat. Not having seen it in a whole year, they returned to find a few lights twinkling down on the night side of the planet. People were coming back and repairs were being made. But there was no time for stopping by, not for the gang. They made one last jump into the dark, to the place where dreams come true, to the star tropics. The jump was just as harrowing the second time. But Freddy knew what to expect now, and they came out the other side of the broken jump buoy set, and into the wonderful light of the star tropics' sunset sun. Home at last. The end.
The
Buck's
end? Buck's dead! Buck's dead.
Sorry, I wrote this episode because like last time I did an episode, that was supposed to be the end of the story. And then y'all were like, I don't believe it. Bucker's coming back, isn't he? And then I was like, no, he's dead as shit. So imagine this, like you just read The Lord of the Rings and then you have like those little appendices. I wrote this kind of like an appendice. It's basically a history of what happens after Buck's death. Because Buck's the main character. Sure. So.
Well, so they somehow made it back and.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and the Ruskies turned out to be all right after the evil. What's his name? Gruten? Who in no way resembles anybody in real life.
Something Uten. Yeah, there was definitely a Uten in there.
Once they got rid of him, the Ruskies turned out to be all right after all.
I mean, they organized nicely into groups of 20 for some reason. How did they the Ruskies didn't put up any kind of fight? They didn't go, where's our beloved God Emperor? You know, they just were like, oh, I guess everything's done, so okay, thanks for unfreezing us.
Yep, they were taking a page out of Jared's storytelling style. Very reasonable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the epilogue of the story. The title of this is E says Epilogue. And, yeah.
All right. Well,
not a lot of jokes.
Yeah.
You defied expectations. I really did think Buck was going to make it back.
Nah. I might write a prequel series about Buck's really embarrassing middle school years, but...
That might have a different tone.
There'll be a whole lot of unexpected and unwanted boners, just like middle school.
Now that's relatable.
Yeah, and uncontrollable.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it continues into adulthood, it's not weird, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Right, we're all on the same page.
Yeah, which is the last page of my story.
Erection right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's intentional. All right, well,
it feels nice to have finished a thing, you know.
I'm glad that the universe was saved.
I wanted to get real European with this shit and have the hero die.
Yeah.
I'm glad that everyone turned out to be excessively reasonable in the end.
Yeah.
Yes. It turns out only despots are unreasonable.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
I bet Ruskies themselves, the fake people, are just fine. And, you know, they can't really be held to blame for, you know, whatever Uten, his name is, you know, whatever he says and does.
Turns out people are just people.
Yeah,
mostly.
From their frozen home.
Yeah, with no resources.
With no resources. Yeah.
But yeah, I am jazzed. So, dear listeners, this is the last time I'm writing in the Buckverse in a story related to Buck. I might no, that's not true. I might write another thing in the universe, but it will not be with the characters that you just heard because their story is over. And I am I'm gonna say it right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cuck Disney and not let them make a sequel to or a prequel to my story. This is a standalone story. I'm not in it for the money. This is where it started, where it starts, and it ends where it ends, and that story is done. And you can't ruin it with a sequel.
Hop off, Disney.
Stop Fuck off, Disney. Stop asking me.
Trying to absorb basically sci-fi. God.
Stop sending me emails. I don't want your money. Anyway.
No. We want the listeners' money. Apparently.
For a book. No. So, thanks for always listening. Bye.
Oh.
Wow.
Bye.